Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be ranking the best shooting guards in NBA 2K24 My Team here on this tier list. But before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 15,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I'm uploading every single day. Trying to hit the 15,000 mark by the end of November. I think it's very, very feasible. So I'd really appreciate it if y'all do hit that subscribe button to help me push towards that goal. Without further ado, we got about, 26 or so of the best shooting guards in My Team on this tier list, so should be a pretty good list. We're going to start off with this Ellis card, who is an absolutely elite shooter, and when evoed, I think he gets some defensive badge boosts as well. This is not actually a card that I have used yet, but he's 6'7", pretty decent speed. Ball handle rating does allow him to timing burst. He's an elite level shooter, pretty good defender as well with some solid defensive badges. He's a 3-and-D card who does have the ability to timing burst, not a horrible slasher either. Release should be pretty good. I assume Neesmith base is pretty solid, but I'm not entirely sure actually. But I will say he looks like a very, very solid card, and I think he's a pretty decent option. KCP probably doesn't quite crack the A tier yet, but he's really, really close. This is a card, if he gets another couple of Evos, which by the time y'all are seeing this video, y'all will know whether or not the Nuggets won in the in-season tournament and he is now Evoing to Amethyst or not. But fingers crossed they win in the in-season tournament on tonight as I'm recording this Friday night. And if they do, he will get another Evo to Amethyst and just continue to improve. And at that point, I mean, once he gets to Amethyst and Diamond, you're looking at a top 5, potentially even shooting guard in the game, at least right on that borderline, because KCP has an elite release. And he's a very good defender. He's just waiting on a little bit more slashing and playmaking ability in his Evos and truly elevate the card and make him incredibly good. Allen Houston is pretty mediocre, to be honest. We only have 25, 26 of these guys, like I said, so got to be a little bit harsh with some of the lower rankings, but I think Allen Houston is good enough to stay out of the D tier. Very, very good shooter with a great release. Moves okay. Defensively not impressive, but C tier is fair. Chris Morris is just lacking stat-wise and badge-wise, honestly. Animations are really good, and he's also 6'8". He's got a great release, and he's got the Curry slide. He's a card who had potential, and honestly, I like seeing 2K with these unknown names sometimes because they turn into hidden gems. But Chris Morris, unfortunately, just didn't have the stats and badges to be one of them. Clyde Drexler is meh. I mean, he's okay. He's 6'7", which is very good size at shooting guard. He's a great slasher. Can hit an open 3. Mediocre defender. Not an incredible card, but not too bad either. Corey Maggetti's a top 10 shooting guard in the game. He's a super solid card. Good release. Capable defender. Slash is pretty high level as well. Not a bad shot creator. Very, very solid card. I'm a fan. DeMar DeRozan, I'm not a fan of. Baited release with a 60-something 3-ball, no shot creation ability, or not much anyway, and also very poor defender. Not a fan of DeMar DeRozan. He's a pretty easy D tier. I think D-Book, unfortunately, is not S tier anymore by any means. I still think D-Book's a very good card. Offensively, his fade is maybe the best fade in the game, probably is the best fade in the game, and his dribble style is also incredible, but defensively and speed-wise, he's just missing too much stuff to truly be incredible. The next D-Book will, again, probably be right there with the best shooting guards in the game, if not maybe even the best shooting guard in the game when he gets a new card. Dominique Wilkins is better than the guys in C tier, but I'm not sure he's as good as the guys in B tier, so I think he's got to go, he probably goes B tier. I think he'll deserve a B tier spot when this list is over, so I think we're going to put him in B tier. I think that's a fair place to put him. Drazen Petrovic is probably the worst card on this list. He does nothing good except for shoot the ball in terms of his stats and badges, and he's not a good shooter because his release is an absolute atrocity. That card sucks. I think you go A tier for Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward has an argument to be in that back part of S tier, but for me personally, I don't think I would give him that. He's a really good card, though. Does a lot of things very, very well on the court. He has a very good release. He's super well-rounded stat and badge-wise. I just think there's 5 shooting guards better. So to me, still got to put him in the A tier. JR is mediocre. He's not bad, but he's not a great defender. His release is a little bit on the slower side. He's very athletic, but I don't think he's truly great. Our first S tier card is Joe Johnson. I think he's probably the 5th best shooting guard in the game, which does put him in the top 5 in the S tier, though. I think he's really, really good all the way around. Just does everything on the court, honestly, at a very, very high level. Super duper elite option at the shooting guard position. And I am realizing right now that I forgot somebody. Brandon Roy. I must have accidentally misclicked and not included him on this list. Brandon Roy is 100% the 5th S tier guy. By the way, I think he's the 2nd best shooting guard in the game. I just want to get that out of the way right now. Did not mean to forget him. It must have misclicked and forgotten to press him and add him on the tier list. That's totally my bad, but Joe Johnson is in that top 5. The ability to get every badge is a plus as well, and I think he's an S tier guy. Don't think John Havlicek cracks the A tier, but he's actually a good 3-and-D card with a nice release, with the ability to timer burst. Actually, pretty decent card. Better than I anticipated he'd be, but still not not quite elite. Dr. J, back of A tier, or middle of A tier, honestly. 7, 8, 9th best shooting guard in the game. Very good card, good release, slash as well. Unfortunately, 3-ball rating's a little bit low. He's a good defender. He's a pretty good shot creator. He's honestly a really nice, well-rounded card. Very, very good card still, but not quite. I think A tier is probably fair. Clay is 3 and D, but he's kind of slow. Doesn't really shot create much. Release is good, though, and he defends his butt off. He's like back into B or high C. I don't know. Luka's bad. He's D tier. He's 75 speed, slow release, not good SIGs. Really doesn't do anything particularly well, unfortunately. He's my favorite player in the league and one of my favorite of all time, but D tier for Luka. Not a good card. Manu Ginobili's kind of mediocre as well. His release is fine, but not incredible. He's not an elite defender. He's an okay shot creator, pretty good shooter. The Euro step is fun with Manu, but like in general, he's not that great of a card either. Michael Finley, speaking of not great of that card, he's fine. Release is okay. He's a good slasher, but not a great card either, in my opinion. Now we finally get to the S tier guys. MJ, one of the best defensive cards in the game, one of the best slashers in the game, and one of the best dribblers in the game. Unfortunately, the shot on him is very mediocre, which holds him back. His jumper animation is just not very good, but he's still a top 3 shooting guard in the game, in my opinion. Mikal Bridges is also a top 5 guy, elite defender, great shooter as well, nice release, pretty athletic, decent shot creator. Really, really solid card. Paul George is the best shooting guard in the game without a doubt, in my opinion, right now. He is a very, very easy S tier. And that's those 3 guys back to back to back are the only S tier players outside of Brandon Roy, and then obviously Joe Johnson. I think those are the 5 top shooting guards in the game right now. And I think Paul George is distinctively the best one for sure. He's an elite card. You could almost put him in a tier to his own. Not quite. I think it's close enough, but like he does everything on the court at such a high level compared to really anybody else in the shooting guard position right now that he is absolutely phenomenal. Steve Smith, back of the top 10. Like not even really maybe top 10 anymore. He's right on that borderline. Very, very good 3 and D card, but doesn't shot create well enough to be high enough on this list to really be much higher than he barely cracks the A tier, basically. T-Mac cracks the A tier because he's an elite shooter and has great size. He's not a great defender, and his shot creation is okay, not incredible, but he is an elite level guy with size and shooting and slashing, and is always a great card when he comes out, and the new T-Mac, I'm sure, will be one of the best couple shooting guards in the game. Vince Carter, also going to go A tier. I know we got a bunch of A tier guys, but these last few guys all are around the same level. Vince he's better than Dominique. He's a little worse than Dr. J, but I still think he's good enough to go A tier. Not an elite level defender, but good enough defensively with great slashing, shooting, pretty good shot creation ability. I like Vince, and then the final card is Zach LaVine, who's great offensively, not good enough defensively to really make a huge impact. He's like high C or maybe low D, and I'm actually going to make some changes on this list. I'm going to move Steve Smith down a tier. I'm going to move Klay Thompson down a tier because I think LaVine might be as good or better than him. And I'm going to move J.R. Smith down a tier because he's not very good either, just to equal out the tiers just a bit. But with that being said, I think this is about as fair as I can make this tier list right now. Let me know what y'all think of my list in the comment section down below. If there's anything you'd change, feel free to let me know. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.